let's get this show on the motherfucking road. As soon as I find the right scene. Hello? Checking. Is this Vic? Is this Vix? Oh my god, it's almost like I know what the fuck I'm doing sometimes. Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to the PAX Unplugged edition of Let's Chat, where I hang out with my friends on the internet, ask them all kinds of random-ass questions, and some of them that you guys have submitted even, and we just kind of talk about our experiences from life outside of these lovely four corners known as our computer monitors. Gentlemen, why don't we take a quick moment to introduce ourselves? The people that are here already know who I am, so guys, take it away.
All right, I guess I'll go first. Some of you may know me from Pip's chat. I'm Dracoling. I also occasionally Twitch stream and run a small adventure company called Consolidated Awesome.
My name's Hagler. I am just slowly foraying into the world of tabletop RPGs since of last year, thanks to potential friends here, and I am just an all-around person here that exists in this world that we live in today.
Well, we certainly enjoy your meat existence being in the general vicinity of our meat existence. all right.
Way more dirty than I expected it to.
Well, you know what? That's just kind of my default.
Okay.
And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Mr. Pip Darty. I tend to run this podcast occasionally when I decide to venture out of my room/studio every once in a while and decide to hang out with people in the IRL space. And you guys might also know me from my speedrunning and random shenanigans on Twitch and now occasionally YouTube. Dracoling, since Hagler gave us a bit of his tabletop RPG experience, why don't you give us a little bit of yours? Let's get a little bit of background on your tabletop experience.
Sure. When it comes to tabletop, I've been an occasional DM, GM, game master, storyteller, whatever you want to throw that label down there as. For quite a few years, I've been an avid collector of all kinds of tabletop RPG systems, going back from Dungeons and Dragons First Edition all the way up to the most modern stuff that I can get my hands on, and been spending decades collecting the books, reading the lore, getting myself soaked into the environment, and rarely getting a chance to play. One of the things that's been weird with me is I mostly collected the books and didn't get a chance to play until very recently. The pandemic has actually given me more of a chance to play D&D than I would have expected.
Isn't that ironic?
We're actually getting together with a bunch of folks online a couple times a week now, playing several different games. I've run a few 5th edition games, and at this point, I'm kind of like I call myself a dungeon advisor. I go in, I pick out rules, I pick out systems, and I help people run games that they want to run, because I find that a little bit more fun for me than directly running games. But on occasion, I can be induced when in a small group to run one-shot one-page RPGs. Some of you may have heard of Goat Crashers or
Fuck yeah,
the Honey Heist type things. Those are my kind of games. I was lucky enough to run while we were at PAX Unplugged. I ran a small game of Goat Crashers for our hotel crew.
That was hella fun. Now that's an excellent segue, since we're all asking why what our tabletop experience is. We just got back from a lovely convention known as PAX Unplugged, which for those of you that don't know, it's like regular PAX, only for the nerds that don't like to stare at a monitor with all of their time being introverts. It's absolutely f***ing, and I do mean fucking fantastic. So why don't we kind of delve into a little bit of our experience with PAX Unplugged in general? This being my third time? Yes, third time attending PAX Unplugged, thanks to Dracoling over here. It just kind of, I wouldn't say twisted my arm, but just saying, hey Pip, there's this thing. There's lots of shiny math rocks there and plushies, and I was like, sold. You had me at hey Pip, so let's go. Dracoling, what's your history with PAX Unplugged?
So PAX Unplugged, I've been trying for years to get to a PAX event. I've thought, the video gaming events and things were really cool. And then PAX Unplugged came around, and I was like, sweet, they're running a PAX event near me. And then I looked at the sheet and I said, sweet, it's not about video games at all. It's about tabletop games. It's about board games. It's about live action role playing. It's about the kinds of fandom that I was really into when I was a little kid running through the library and making up my own fantasy world. I love video games. I love all the stuff that comes with video games, but there's something really essential about just sitting around and telling stories to each other. And that's what PAX Unplugged is for me, is a chance to find new ways to tell stories and have adventures that we all get to control and be a part of, instead of just sort of experiencing it like a movie.
Right. And Hagler, if I'm not mistaken, this past weekend was actually your first PAX Unplugged, correct?
First PAX and first con in general, turn this whole sphere of conventions.
Oh man, so you had a whole slew of firsts there.
Yeah.
So Hagler, why don't you kind of tell us a little bit of, like, did you kind of, when you were invited to attend with us, did you have any kind of like expectations or anything that what were your thoughts when you thought of a tabletop like board game and D&D convention? Like what were you kind of thinking you were going to walk into?
I am usually come in with a neutral perspective. I don't try to create any bias or any form of that matter. So
Good way to be.
Try to create the most, I guess, unbiased experience possible. So then I just create opinions of my own. So when I came in, honestly, the only thing I was trying to see, just for conventions in general of this nature were, and I'll go down the, so to speak, meme route, but just the bad stigma I've heard of sort of these kinds of conventions where some folks tend to have a general disposition to not clean themselves, but that's the only thing.
No, it's okay. You can say it straight up, dude. The memes are that these cons are full of sweaty nerds who don't know what a shower is and would run away from a bar of soap if it was given to them.
Yeah, it was hard to create a conclusion from that experiment because of the fact that we were all wearing masks. So don't know if that helped positively or negatively and towards my experiment. So it's still.
I mean, at least we couldn't tell who doesn't brush their teeth. I mean, there's that.
Yeah,
true enough.
Or at least who had pho for breakfast. Oh man. So Hagler, so when you got to PAX and we were all kind of just like cruising the floor and just kind of checking things out, was there anything in particular that you were like laser focused on like finding or learning more about when you got there?
No, it was really just seeing what the whole floor had to offer. I didn't go to any panels, which the next time I attend, that will probably be my next focus. So for now, it was just seeing in general what kind of materials are out for sale, essentially, just in general what other activities are available for the, I'd say, general, I guess the casual, so to speak, that would just walk in there not expecting anything. It was a good experience overall, and I unfortunately spent more than I expected I'd be spending. So,
oh yes, the lovely pile of books that my Palamute is so kindly holding up is a testament to how much I spent.
Yeah, that's always a risk. Every single day we were there, I said, all right, I'm not buying any more dice. I have enough dice. Every single day I ended up buying more dice. They're all really good dice, but I bought more dice.
It's funny because like the first PAX I went to, I was telling Dracoling exactly the same thing. Like, I'm just gonna buy like 2 or 3 sets of dice, just enough to get like a 4-man D&D group together. And I think I might have spent like half of what I budgeted as like dumb money on shiny math rocks. And this time I actually came saying like I'm getting the DM's fancy set of dice. What do I leave with instead? I leave with a pile of Nordic books and some fancy runes to go with it, which was great. For those of you that don't know, behind me is Fate of the Norns. It is a fantastic a Viking saga oriented tabletop RPG system where instead of throwing dice, you actually cast runes. highly recommended. For you guys watching on YouTube, I'll link it down in the description. But I bought fancy runes to go with that instead, and I said, okay, we're good. I'll get fancy math rocks later.
Well, the nice thing about fancy math rocks is you can actually get them outside of cons, where sometimes you won't find some of these resources otherwise.
Right, absolutely. I mean, apparently these guys, they've been doing, I went to their website, I'm like, these guys have been at it for like a decade? And like, they had said that too, even when we were at their booth. But I didn't register, and then I went online and I'm like, shit, these guys have been at it for a hot minute. Like, this is actually a thing.
Well, they had quite a collection of books out there too.
Yeah,
so they've definitely been working at it for a while.
And they got a new one coming out. I just funded we just got the finalization that they got their Kickstarter funded for the next installment of books, and I'm super fucking stoked for that. But it definitely, to kind of segue into one of the questions that somebody in the Shield Wall asked, is as far as like how would you recommend somebody prepare for their first PAX Unplugged?
I would say don't just go in there blind and just see what's out there that might interest you. You know, unless there's panels that you are particularly interested in, you know, look up to see what panels you want to visit, and you can try to, you know, because obviously those have time slots you want to make for. But I'd say from my perspective, just go in blind and see what's there to offer and just have a ball.
I would say, from my experience, I would recommend having somebody that you can go with, either whether they've been there before or not, but somebody else who might be interested in similar things. Because a big part for me of these kind of cons and PAX especially is being able to share the experience with someone else while we're there. It also helps to have somebody else, you know, you'll walk through the exhibit floors and things like that, and you'll see a lot of stuff. And you'll go, oh, I want to go back for that thing. You don't remember where that thing was. You don't remember what the name of the booth was. You don't remember where it was. You've just spent a day and a half being overwhelmed by things, but you really want to go back and get that thing or talk to those guys. It helps to have somebody else who can be with you to do that. So my key would be, if you can, hook up with somebody else, bring a friend, that kind of thing. That's the best way to get through any kind of con like this.
Doesn't help the party up at all. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually particularly like, I mean, like the first and second time that you and I have done PAX Dracoling, we kind of like were glued at the hip, mainly because usually if I'm going out in public with you, I'm like, okay, I hate everybody else. I'm just hanging out with you. but PAX Unplugged has a particular vibe to it that makes it different from like, and for those of you that know me, you guys know I'll go to Magic tournaments. I've been to a few Warhammer events. The tournament scenes like that are a little bit more clicky, where the people that came together hang out together. PAX is a little different, because I've literally sat down. Dracoling and I have literally sat down at a table, because they have like free play sections where you can go. They have a whole library of board games that if you want to try them out or just like relax for a little bit. The PAX has a really great like chill atmosphere in comparison to most cons, where you are just like you go to like regular PAX, you're walking and walking and walking and walking and walking, and then you decide, fuck, I'm tired, I have to go back to the hotel room just to relax. At PAX Unplugged, they literally have a quiet room where if you need to get away from the hustle and bustle, you just go sit there.
They have quiet rooms. They have dedicated spaces for certain conversations. They've got like the diversity lounge, a couple other specific focused lounges. They've got an area for older games like cardboard. So they call that the legacy cardboard or vintage cardboard area. They've got their massive board game library where you can just, with your pass, no additional funds, no additional anything else, with the ticket that you got to go in the door, you can go and take a game out from the board game library, go over to the tables, play it with your friends, play it with random people. They've got the ability to...
Real quick, you will find random people to play games with, too, by the way.
Yeah. The first PAX that we went to, the first PAX Unplugged that we went to, we found random people just sitting next to us and shared games across the table for about 2.5 hours. And it started out as Pip and I had sat down and went, listen, I just need to sit for a minute. I took out a board game so that, I wouldn't feel bad about taking this chair from somebody, but Uh, I picked some random game off the table. I think it turned out to be the Tiny Tina's Robots game. And we ended up with the people next to us just kind of passing back and forth with games and basically making new friends as we were there.
Yeah, that was great.
Everybody was really chill and friendly.
And for those of you that know me through the Magic scene, there are Magic events there. I will tell you flat out, if it is your first time going to PAX Unplugged specifically, do not plan for a Magic event. Don't be like, oh, day one, I'm going to do a draft. I'm going to do a standard. That will take up 85% of your day. And then you're going to finish, and then you're going to have to rush and go through the whole showroom floor. If anything, do the Magic stuff at PAX Unplugged like your second or third day. Like, do it as like I don't really feel like doing the whole board game shebang. If you know for a fact that you want to walk around and you want to try to find a new tabletop RPG system, or if you're a tabletop gamer and you want to go over to Games Workshop and sell a kidney to them real quick to be able to afford the Forge World models that they brought with them, or if you just want to walk around and see what's out there. Because for a lot of people, I mean, at least, I mean, outside of our immediate circle, Dracoling, a lot of people don't really actually play board games a whole lot from what I've really noticed. I mean, like, at least in my household, we always had some kind of board game going at least every other night, whether it be Monopoly, Parcheesi, Uno, some crazy trivia game my mom found at the supermarket. And a lot of gamers in general, and I'm not even talking about just video gamers or people that exist within the Twitch space at all. If you play a game and like that's your shtick, whether it be Magic, yep, Warhammer, etc., you get sucked into such a pigeonhole of this is my life, this is where I exist, this is my specialty. And it's great to have a hobby or passion. Like, you guys know I'm very big on Magic the Gathering, always have been, always will be. You can't pull me away from it if you tried with a crowbar and a shotgun in the back of my head. It's not happening. But if it wasn't for me pulling my head out of my own ass and going to PAX Unplugged and finding games like we played last night in Discord, Hero Tales of the Tomes, where it's not such an elite, if you will, tabletop game where people have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. Everybody has to have their own collections. Board games are so great because you can show up with a box, put it down, and everybody can have a good fucking time. Go out and find one of those when you're at PAX Unplugged. That's my tip for preparing. Go in with a mindset of, I want to find one game that I can buy, that I can bring to my friend's house or go bring to a party, and everybody can sit down and have a great time.
Yep.
The best part about board games compared to a lot of the other games we end up playing, customizable card games, the war games, these kind of things, the best part about your standard board game is that you pay... So one person pays 30, 40, 50 for some of the fancy games. You pay, some chunk of money, and then you own that game. You own everything there is about that game. You can play that game with as many people as on the box, 2 people, 4 people, 6 people, and everybody gets to play together. You don't have to worry about spending all of your time and all of your money building up the best deck. You don't have to worry about, oh, is this tournament ready? There is no tournament. The tournament is you and your friends sitting around a table.
With the exception of Catan, because there is a Catan tournament at PAX Unplugged.
People can make anything into a tournament. I've seen Monopoly tournaments. Why?
Because people like wasting an entire week of their life?
Exactly. But
I'm sorry, not for those of you that go to Monopoly tournaments, it's not a waste for you.
They're just built different.
Yeah, for real.
Well, that I feel like goes perfectly with your reference to the Magic tournaments and Warhammer tournaments as well at PAX Unplugged. Is you can go to PAX Unplugged and you can go do a Magic tournament or event at PAX Unplugged, but you have to remember that you're then taking a big chunk of your time where you could be at PAX Unplugged and you're playing Magic. And that's cool. If that's what you're into, if that's what you wanted to do, awesome, great, enjoy it. But there's also so much more to explore. I would hate for somebody to go and realize halfway through spending their whole weekend there that, oh, I missed out on all this other cool content because I just never walked over to that area. So I would say definitely, if it's your first time, take a walk around, see what's out there, take a browse through the book. They've got an awesome listing of various presentations and programs and panels going on. There are workshops all weekend long. Sometimes they're hard to get into. They have limited space for some of them, especially for like the hands-on ones, like the painting and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely check the website ahead of time and see what panels there are, what workshops there are. I'm gonna pull a page from our Let's Chat About TwitchCon 2019 edition, because we had gotten a similar question for that podcast. I follow a rule of threes. I will go on the website and I will pick 3 things per day. And it's okay, there's this workshop at this time, there's this panel at this time, and there's this meet and greet over here. Any more than that, I've found that in the time it takes for you to remember that there's a thing you gotta do, even when there's a reminder on your fancy fairy box telling you that you got this thing you gotta get over to, the time it takes you to get there, the time it takes you to sign up, badge in, find a seat, whatever it takes for you to get to the thing, you only really have time in the day to do 3 of them and then still have enough time to feel like you're doing something other than working. And I went and filmed that B-roll that we got. I got one interview done with one of the game developers that we're going to be watching as a post podcast. So after the podcast is over, guys, stay tuned. We'll be playing that. We actually interviewed my buddy Jimmy, who is the developer for Hero Tales of the Tome. So stick around after the podcast to watch that. If you guys got to bail, totally fine. I'm going to have it live on I'm going to have it live uploaded to YouTube right after the podcast. But if you try to plan more than the 3 things, you're just going to drive yourself nuts, and you're going to wind up not wanting to do everything, and you're going to do what I do. And if you have a full schedule of shit to do that's miles long, you ain't going to do any of it.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to do, and you know what? There's a little bit of something for everybody, to be honest.
Oh my god, DJ, did you really have to come in here and troll the podcast? Did I get any taller while at PAX? No. If anything, I got shorter because my ass walked around in boots that I didn't realize were falling apart, and I literally walked a blister so bad into my right foot that I had a hole as big enough to fit a goddamn Sharpie through from the blister that popped. That was fun. Yeah, guys, get good footwear, because you're going to be walking around, if not at PAX, you're definitely going to be walking around finding grub afterwards, because you're in Philly. Always do a gear check. Absolutely. I would have to agree there, Tacos. Yeah, definitely gear check. I had a little issue because I had just bought a brand new gimbal to do filming with, to try to get some cool footage for you guys for the event, and I didn't really know what I was doing with the gear. So if you do decide you want to bring a nice camera or something like that, or if you do tabletop RPG and you want to bring a tablet with you to keep all your books and resources on, so you're not lugging around a big pile of fucking paper like that, make sure you got all your shit in order. USB battery bank, always. Any convention you go to, have one, if not 5.
I got a really excellent piece of advice here for this one. First one, wear clean socks every single day. I don't care who you are, what else you do. Like, the one favor you can do for yourself, put on a fresh pair of socks in the morning before you go walking around these cons. Your feet will appreciate you, and they won't break your life down. Another one, bring an empty bag. Okay, and by empty, I mean maybe it's got your USB charger to charge up your junk. Maybe it's got your water bottle in it. Don't bring a bunch of crap with you to carry around. You will regret it, because you will probably get more crap to put in that bag. Yes. And if your bag is already heavy, you will regret it. If you're meeting with people, you're going to split up at some point. I don't care how attached you all are to each other. You're going to split up at some point. If you have a place to meet with each other, or just like, hey, we're going to meet up at, 2:00 and we're going to go grab food at this spot. We'll meet up there. Just have a rally point where you can figure out where everything is.
If not several.
Yeah.
And thanks to the loveliness that is technology, just start a Discord group chat. That worked fantastically. I am, after this past PAX Unplugged, I am under the sole, that's the word I'm looking for. I am under the firm belief that a group of 4 people minimally is ideal for a convention. Because like Hagler and I were just chilling. Drake, I don't even know where the fuck Dracoling went. Dracoling went off to do something. And it was just Hagler and I just walking around having a great time. And I was like, sweet. I'm not alone. I don't know where Dracoling is, but I also don't care because I know where he's going to be at this time thanks to the message on fucking Discord. And it was awesome. You don't have to deal with the panic of, well, shit. And you guys that went to TwitchCon with me, what was it? Umpteen million years ago now at this point. TwitchCon 2018? 2018, I think it was 2018. Yeah, 2018 or 2019, I forget. The ones that happened right before the whole, the world.
The one that you went to.
Yeah, yeah, one of the ones that we went to. We spent half of the time in the showroom just looking for everybody. And let me tell you, finding nerds in a nerd convention, yet alone Twitch streamers, is like herding cats when somebody has a laser pointer on the other side of the room. 2019, thank you, DJ.
One of the nicest points about the Discord group is we made plans and we're like, hey, I'm going to head over here. And then, something happened. The person I was with wanted to sign up for a painting demo. So we were going to go down and sign up for painting demos. They were full. So we were like, well, we're not going to a painting demo. So we went over to some other thing completely across the other end of the exhibit hall. And I just pinged everybody. Hey, guys, we're over here now. Keep up on each other so you know where it's at. It's all good.
Yeah, Tacos and DJ.
Discord makes that super easy. It's free. Yeah. Go for it.
Tacos and DJ came up with a couple other good points. Tacos says bring an extra pair of socks to change halfway through. I would recommend more so just finding an easy hotel room nearby, because let me tell you, I've done that before. You don't want a smelly pair of socks airing out in your backpack with all the fancy new toys you just bought. It's no bueno. Unless you have one of those cool like camping dry bags that you can put all your clothes in that's like kind of sealed but not really. But I definitely agree fresh socks is like fucking king, because after day one, because when shit started getting all cold and damp outside, and as soon as I got to the hotel and changed my socks, I felt like a new fucking hobbit, let me tell you. And DJ says bring deodorant. Yes, deodorant is key. Absolutely. We'll travel size one, throw it in your bag, your Gucci, because you will sweat. You will sweat. I don't care who you are. Unless you've literally had your sweat glands removed, you will sweat.
Great part of being PAX Unplugged. It's right in the middle of Philadelphia. There are probably 25 CVS's and other like little stores you can go to. If you forgot your toothbrush, if you forgot your deodorant, or you just want to get more, freaking go to the store. That's just right there.
That's what I did. I didn't pack any of that. I just went to the CVS before going to the hotel.
Yeah.
Oh man. So we're gonna start with Hagler on this next question. What was your favorite part about the PAX Unplugged weekend for you?
I'd probably say the board game library.
Oh yeah, did you find anything spicy in there that you never seen before, or actually got to play a game you've been eyeballing?
Oh, I just like the whole idea of just renting out or checking out a board game and just playing with it. It's just to me, I just like the aspect of just grabbing something at random, just going, let's see how this looks, and not worrying about, I just spent $30 on this game. Probably not, I don't know if I'll like it, all that. You just rent it out, check it out, play a bit with a couple people, maybe some friends, some new friends, long lost lovers, the whole deal. And we find out whether you like it or not, and all of a sudden next thing you know, you make an impulse purchase or two, and
I was gonna say the great and dangerous part about that is a lot of the games that are in that library are for sale on the floor that weekend. So you just roam around a bit and you'll find it, and there goes $30 right there. And I mean, shit. And in my case, as you guys might know, I tend to like a bit more on the expensive side of board games because I like all the stuff it comes with. And then I proceed to make it more expensive by buying fancy boxes and dice and sleeves, and I digress. I like keeping my stuff in good shape, so I buy nice things for it, You buy a game that's got like 200 cards in it, you don't want the cards getting all grimy because somebody's got Cheeto fingers on a Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when people are like, "Oh, can I see your D&D books?" No, you can look at the PDF. You ain't touching it. Oh man, what about you, Draco? What was your favorite part about this PAX weekend?
One of my favorite parts about PAX Unplugged is getting to see games before they're released, and getting to have demos and playtests of games from new publishers. I saw a couple games this weekend, or PAX weekend, that I never would have expected to see, and would never really be my flavor of game. But it's really interesting to see what goes into developing a new game and bringing it to market. I mean, Pip, you and I walked by and a guy was demoing a monster truck game.
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that.
Sponsored by the Monster Truck Company. And so like you're rolling giant wheels for dice, and then it was move across the board. And the amazing ways in which people have built these games, and then they pour a lot of love into producing them.
Yeah, and to kind of like piggyback off of that, the one thing that I like about that whole experience is like actually getting to sit down, because like when it comes to like video gaming in general, you gotta kind of be like in the upper echelons of content creation to even send an email and maybe get a reply or a like on Twitter from the devs. PAX Unplugged, I literally walked up to a guy with a camera and said, hey, can I talk to you for 5 minutes, and can you tell me about your game, and can I ask you a couple of questions? Oh, fuck yeah, yes, I'll give you a whole demo. Okay, shit, I should have brought a tripod. The people, it's great to like be able to go into an event like that and like actually come across the people that put, in some cases, like Jimmy from Hero Tales of the Tomes, years of their life making something. And if it wasn't for like such a small niche, I consider PAX Unplugged to be a bit of a niche event. It is a much smaller convention than what most people would expect when you think the word PAX. So
yeah, I think it's definitely one of the smallest of the PAX events.
Oh, for sure.
It takes over the Philadelphia Convention Center, but there was so much room inside they could have had 3 more events and we wouldn't have known about it.
For real, yeah. They could have had an entire like GP Magic tournament on the other half of the convention center. We wouldn't have even heard them.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I recommend it. If you guys have never been to PAX Unplugged and you're anywhere near Philadelphia and you're a little unsure about going to conventions in general, it's a nice, much more chill kind of dip your toes in the water and go event for sure. Let's see. We've got a couple more questions here from the audience and the Discord. So, while you were at PAX and we were walking the showroom floor, what either game or game company or product did you happen to come across that really kind of took you by surprise, or that you know really impressed you?
Not game company, but I guess I'd say the Wormwood folks. I'm a sucker for woodwork a little bit, and just seeing like I didn't think they'd have actual tables, because I'm not too big on following them, but just seeing them, seeing their showcase there, it opened my eyes a bit on what other products they offered. So I didn't realize they actually sold whole ass tables on top of the typical shenanigans for dice throwing and all that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they do beautiful work. I'm gonna link it in chat, and I'll have it down in the description for you guys on YouTube later. But for those of us that don't know, Wormwood makes fantastic natural wood, like dice boxes, dice towers, actual gaming tables and furniture, and really fancy dice too. So if you like fancy math rocks, I really wish I caught your expression, Hagler, when we walked past the booth on camera, because holy shit, you lit up like a Christmas tree. You were like, I'm gonna go over there, and I'm like, I'm already right behind you. Let's go.
Yeah, like they're that modular table that they were showing with all the little slide racks they had for the cup holders and all that was pretty neat. It's just one of my goals one day, is just build my not do it myself kind of guy, but just design a table for tabletop shenanigans one day.
Oh yeah, one day for sure. I am throwing out my dining room table and buying a wormwood table. 100%. I would totally make one myself, but I gotta be honest, I ain't got that kind of time or attention span. So I will gladly pay Wormwood to do it for me. What about you, Dragoling?
For me, it was some of the smaller studios, which definitely are like one artist and a game designer and things like that. You see a couple of these type of vendors where it's people have really put a passion project together. And the cool thing about board games is that you can actually bring something that's just made by two people directly to the market yourself, pretty much, with the board game. Whereas in video games, that's a lot harder. It takes a lot more work to put that together. One of the small creators that I saw there was actually a guy who was doing laser cut boxes and accessories and things. So he had puzzle boxes made out of wood, and he had some cool like spinning dice collectors and things. And he'd just come in and decided he was going to set up a table at PAX and sell, dice cages and nerd shit to people, and it was great.
Gotta love it.
And he was right up there with Wormwood and Next Level Dice and all these other companies that are massive showrooms. And he's like, "Hey man, I got a stand, I got a laser cutter, let's go."
Right. I think for me, it definitely had to have been the fate of the Norns guys, because to walk past, because like I've seen. I like kind of the more obscure when it comes to like tabletop RPGs, because like everybody knows D&D, but especially a lot of the people that I've talked to in the Shield Wall are just flat out intimidated by like Pathfinder, D&D and stuff. And like that's why like on like my birthday stream and stuff, we did Crash Pandas. We did one pagers. Just something real simple. Everybody can get their toes in. But for me personally, it's like I've played D&D. I played D&D many years ago for many years. And I think for me, it was more so like I wanted to start running games. And when I got to PAX, I was like, okay, if the Cyberpunk guys are there, I'm just going to buy their books finally. I may not use their system because I've used it before. Not the biggest fan. And me trying to explain the Cyberpunk system, I would need an entire week of podcasts to do it. It's not a dig on you guys if you happen to be watching this, by the way. I just ramble and I can't understand shit. But then these guys explained their system to me in like 2.5 minutes, and I already had my credit card out, and it's on brand, for fuck's sake. We use Futhark runes instead of dice. It's great. And but I like the more obscure things that, like, if somebody came over to my house and sat down and was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's game night. Because, like, honestly, if that's happening, Dracoling's probably coming over. So Dracoling can bring all the, like, normal or more conventionally accepted and fun games. As DJ will tell you, if you guys ever ask DJ, especially when it comes to fighting games, I like the weird shit. Or the shit that you kind of have to dig to find that's unique. So when I found this, I was like, okay, well, it's historically accurate. It's based on historical text. These guys actually know what they're talking about. Have done the homework, and I can sit down and play an RPG with people, and like do a combination of like educating them on what some of these actually have said. As far as historical texts are concerned. What the fuck? Okay, cool. Sorry. Apparently I left pre-roll ads on. Sorry for anybody that caught an ad during the live podcast. If you happen to miss a few things here and there, you can go back and watch it on my YouTube. I'll tweet the link after it gets uploaded. But, excuse me. But as far as I think that for me was definitely the first thing that surprised the hell out of me, that I thought was really dope. Other than that, I was actually surprised to see that Games Workshop was actually selling their models at like normal retail price this year. Because the last time I went, there was a bit of a markup for like convention prices, and I was like, how about no? because I bought a little box of their Lord of the Rings dwarves because I'm building a ninth age army because apparently I don't have enough plastic toy soldiers. And I was like, I want the Iron Hills dwarves in my ninth age army, but they're like $80 for a tiny box of like 9 of them. No, thank you. But then I went there and they had them on the fucking shelf for like 75. I was like, sweet. Mine. The other thing that surprised me is us actually having to wait for a fucking table to get dinner. That was upsetting. I was so hungry. Also, yeah, that's my other suggestion for you guys. If you go to PAX Unplugged, I don't care if you think that you're gonna get a spot in like some random hole in the wall joint. You can of course, it's Philly. You can always find food. But if you know for a fact, like you're like an hour from leaving the convention and you know for a fact you want like Chinese food or you want Italian, call a place and make a fucking reservation. Or at least attempt to.
Yeah, it's worth it. Even if you call ahead by 10 minutes, hey, we're on our way over. Do you guys have a table? Absolutely worth it. We ended up bouncing from place to place. We, of course, landed on good food anyway, but it was kind of an adventure to get some food at especially dinner time. But it's Philadelphia in December, so you've got Center City travelers, you've got holiday travelers, you've got convention travelers. There's a lot going on in the city. As far as trying to get into dinner at that point. Yeah. I will say on the tabletop gaming thing real quick, there's a lot more to tabletop RPGs than just Dungeons and Dragons or just Werewolf or Pathfinder or Vampire or any of these other systems you may have heard of. There are a million different ways to play tabletop RPGs, and if you have a particular flavor you're looking for, I guarantee that there's some RPG out there that will have that flavor. You may not like it. You may not like their system. There are a million systems out there that are just built to let you play whatever game you want and make up stats for it. And that's the real key to tabletop RPG games, is that you can make it up as you go along, and that's part of the point. As long as everybody at the table agrees on the same rule system, then you're all playing the same game.
Yeah, to add to that is like one place I actually forgot to check was the Gloomhaven folks. They have a pretty interesting setup. I was always curious to try. I see the game on Steam, but I feel like I'd rather try the actual tabletop version first before I try to do electronic.
Yeah, for sure. I've always been interested in Gloomhaven, but I never really. I think I only know of like two people that have actually ever played it before. So I'm like, okay, unless those guys want to play, I'm just gonna be over here playing Hero Tales of the Tome or Warhammer.
I feel like Gloomhaven gets a weird rep because of its 60 to 90 minute recommended play time. That's to start with for a basic game.
That sounds like a good time to me.
I've heard. Well, I mean, shit. Fucking, when we were playtesting the Onyx King expansion for Tales last night, we had one game last 2.5 hours, and I was like,
nice.
Well, I'm gonna have to tell Jimmy that we didn't get as many playtest games in as we anticipated because this took a hot minute.
That's awesome.
But it was good times for sure. I definitely am super excited for that game to actually launch.
Well, and Hero Tales of the Tomes was one of those games that you found completely at random as we were walking through. You were like, ooh, there's cards here. What are these about? That was literally like you walked up to the table and you go, what are these cards for?
Pretty much. And we were on our way out the door. Like we were leaving. And I spotted it and I'm like, tiny game that looks like a book. And I'm like, hashtag not sponsored at all. But I was like, this is adorable. I need to bring this home with me. Excuse me, sir. How many monies is this? And my dwarves are in it right now, but shh, it's okay. But yeah, and now I don't think that a week goes by that I don't either play the game or mention it to somebody. because I just know too many people that have stopped playing card games for multiple reasons, and I just say, no, we can go. I can bring this thing, and we can do the thing, and there's not like a rule book that's the size of Mount Vesuvius for you to remember. I can explain the rules in like 5 minutes. It's okay, and we still kind of play like a Magic-esque game. It's a good time. So I think we kind of already touched on this because our the next questions that we had in the roster were favorite game you saw, which I already showed it to you guys and back here, and favorite game you purchased. I haven't even played it yet, and I've just been reading the books, and I'm super excited. What about you guys as far as like either games or things that you've purchased?
This probably doesn't show up very well on the camera, but
it's coming through.
It's called the Lore of Ethera, the Lost Druid. It's actually a 5th edition D&D compliant adventure. Supposed to be the first in a series. And it's got gorgeous artwork all throughout the book. It's really well written, and the guys who did it also came up with an interesting looking digital system for players and DMs to communicate. So it's all, instead of going to virtual tabletops like there are so many of, Roll20 is an example, Foundry, VTT, Forge, those kind of things are all virtual tabletops where you play the game online and you have your little top-down view of your grid maps and your things like that. This is more like, let's take the character sheets and make them not character sheets. Let's make them like your character's portal, so that it's much more of an app-based experience. So I thought that was a really neat like sideline to have both an adventure and a new take on what character sheets look like and how players can interact with their game. But the cool thing about this is also it has like, for every scene as you go through the adventure, it's got little QR code down at the bottom that you can scan, and it's got the background music and soundscape for everyone, which makes it a really interesting multimedia experience.
Oh, for sure.
Going through an adventure.
I feel like, so that whole system, and again, for those of you on YouTube later, I will definitely link it in the description. That whole system where, you know, you just scan, it's like, hey, I'm a DM, I want to really try to immerse my players. And let's be honest, not a whole lot of people are too imaginative these days. So as a DM, I can go just, okay, boop, scan the code. Here's your ambiance. And then you guys have your app for your characters. So for those of you with very short attention spans and you don't like to stare at an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, you know, there you have it. I really hope that the guy that developed that whole app actually either licenses it or sells it to somebody, and that whole system gets ported to every place, every RPG system. I feel like needs that facelift. I shouldn't say needs, but in order for tabletop RPGs to become more widely accepted and more adopted by modern gamers, I feel like that's the route that needs to be taken, and they definitely did a bang up job with it.
Yeah, I'd say since I'm, I guess, new to DMing, but I introduced I started DMing for a group of friends that never played 5e before, and so being able to have them go on like D&D Beyond, and that's where they do all their shenanigans and interact with the game I have set up for them. I feel like if I didn't have that and they were forced to do pencil and paper, I probably might have lost them early on in the campaign instead of still having a campaign to this day.
Yeah, that's one of the things the designer was saying, is that the traditional, like, if you're into D&D from a long time ago, you're used to what a character sheet looks like from back in the day. And coming to that from a modern perspective, you've never played a tabletop role-playing game. You look down at this sheet or multiple sheets of like numbers that are written in weird places, and then you have to look stuff up on this page and look stuff up on that page, and you have to figure out how, like, okay, yes, I get that I roll dice to do all my abilities. What dice do I roll? How do I add that all together? Like, figuring that stuff out is part of learning the game, but it can also be a big barrier to just getting in and having a little bit of fun. So all these tools, D&D Beyond is a great one to just kind of smoothly integrate you into that system. This guy's system, which I can't remember the name of off the top of my head, but I'll pull it up and can link it in the thing later. You know, it's much more like, I want my character to hit, so I'm just going to hit. Like, how do I hit? Well, you don't have to remember. You need to roll 1d8 plus 4 and then, you know, subtract some other number from it. It's just, I push the hit button. It does a hit number.
Right.
Yeah, like one of my players in my group, you know, he still doesn't have a full grasp of how Paladin works, but we help him out as he does his rolls. But it's very easy for him, instead of doing the math in his head and then when he rolls the dice, just apply the plus minus modifiers. He's able to just easily hit the hit button, hit his smite, boom. Big numbers.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Ooh. Anyways. When you sneeze so hard that your eyeballs cross for a second there. Tis the season. Anyways, I think we're coming up just about on time. So as closing statements here, I would definitely have to say, even if you just like shiny math rocks, aka dice, and you're anywhere near the Philadelphia area, I would wholeheartedly recommend attending PAX Unplugged with a few friends, and just get away from the screens for a little bit. Keep your phone on you so you guys can keep in touch with each other and coordinate. But get away from the screens for a little bit. Sit down at a table, throw some dice, jot some stuff down on a piece of paper, pick up a board game, have yourself a grand old farkin' time. Dracoling, Hagler, I do really, really appreciate you guys coming on the podcast and sharing your both first time and veteran experiences about the convention with me. And of course, to you guys watching live on Twitch, thank you so much for being a part of the adventures today. If you guys would like more information, please hit us up in Discord, or you can check out the video description when this gets re-uploaded to YouTube, unedited for your entertainment pleasure. And of course, happy official day of Yule to you all, and may the gods be with you all. Skull.